Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Glow Up Seekers podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Hello, how are we doing? This episode is going to be for the people pleasers, for the nice girls, the ones who need to have a little bit more of that big sister energy towards themselves, higher standards, being unapologetic, no longer being this little anxious mess and doubting yourself and putting yourself to the side and counting yourself out. Now, I have been somebody who was and, sometimes still can be a people pleaser, especially when I was younger, especially in my early 20s. It definitely showed up a lot in relationships, but honestly, even in certain circumstances, just moving through life, not speaking up, not setting boundaries, not saying what I feel, being really afraid to make people mad or make a mistake because what I felt like was going to happen if I did that, which just really made a really low quality of life, a really anxious life, a really unstable life, and a life where honestly, I do always find the people who are the most people pleasing, the ones who are always counting themselves out, the ones who maybe have like lower standards, I feel like we collectively are the ones that are just like needing to be protected more, but we have to learn how to protect ourselves. So if you've been somebody, and this has been me, okay, that has petitioned yourself to have somebody choose you or pick you or love you or want you, when you have been putting your needs to the side, when you have been trying to make it known that your value and who you are as a person is worthy of somebody's attention or love, or even outside of relationships, you are just trying to make it known by fitting yourself into boxes or making sure you're not doing the wrong thing. And quite frankly, just being a very type A perfectionist person, I want to give you some advice because we know this is why you probably clicked this video. You don't really want to be like this anymore. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't really get you much. It usually gets people just walking all over you. It just gets you feeling like crap about yourself. And we need to stand up for ourselves. Now, you guys know I like to go deep with this podcast. So let's first talk about why are you like this in the first place? Now, everyone is different. Everyone has a different background, a different reason for the way that they act in life. But we can kind of sum all of this up, this type of personality, as somebody who in childhood, you probably learned that in order to get needs met, you had to be a certain type of way. You had to be a good girl. You were afraid that if you didn't do the right thing, then there would be really bad consequences. So you became this hyper perfectionist type A person that tried to make no mistakes because you couldn't handle the reaction or non-reaction or whatever reaction there would be if you quote unquote messed up. You learned that if I just be perfect, if I just act a certain way, if I just no longer need anything, if I have no needs at all, then this person would like me. Then this person would choose me. Then this person would love me. Or if I just do everything perfectly, then I will not ever upset anyone and I'll be in everyone's good books. Also, another thing is sometimes we don't want somebody to abandon us. We don't want to feel that abandonment wound again. So if I just never say what I need, in fear that you are going to reject me if I say that I need a certain something in a relationship, or I need to speak up for myself, or I need to negotiate, or I need to say my truth. I am so afraid that you're going to leave me because I've never really had my needs met that I would rather just not say a single thing because I do not want you to abandon me, because at the end of the day, I'm actually a human being and I really need love and I really need support and I really need connection. Now, what helped me flip from acting out of this young part of me that was in this situation when I was younger, who didn't get her needs met, who was afraid to say what she felt because there would be consequences, I see that part of me as somebody who needs to really be protected. And in my adult life, the way I move through life now is embodying this alter ego, okay? And I'm just gonna say big sister. And this could be something different for you guys, but I think a big sister energy kind of works for a lot of us. And so I like to embody this big sister energy who has different standards, who stands up, who negotiates, who does the things and says the things that she needs to do, and who really protects this young part of herself. Essentially, you are going to become your own big sister. There was a lot of needs that you did not get met in childhood. There was a lot of things that were unfortunately out of your control in childhood and in your life experience. But now as an adult, you can pick up some things, some standards, some ways of moving through life that protects you and your inner child, because you unfortunately did not ever deserve to sit around and negotiate your worth. You never deserved to sit around and hope and pray that somebody would like you. You never deserved to be afraid to say what you needed in childhood. So moving forward, when you find yourself moving into that young childlike version of you, first, don't ever be mad at yourself for that, because it's a visceral thing. It's a trauma response. It's a self-protection. It is something that you've been operating out of a long time, most likely. But I do want you to see how when there's certain circumstances in your life, and it will be different for everyone, where you tend to want to people please, or you want to not say what you feel in relationships, or you are too afraid to negotiate, or you're too afraid to let somebody down, you can see how you're really just moving into that young childlike part of you. But you do not need to be strong anymore. You do not need to be that inner child anymore. You can love this part of you, and you can thank this part of you for trying to do its best to protect you, but you are now going to step into this big sister energy. And the first way you're going to do this is you are going to become radically unapologetic. And being unapologetic is not the same as being a bitch. It is not the same as being rude to people and not caring about other people's needs. And quite frankly, if you're a people pleaser, if you are somebody who had a childhood like this, or you operate like this, you do not need to be worried about being selfish or being the main character or taking care of yourself, okay? We don't need to have that conversation. Now, being unapologetic depends on the situation that you're in. So I'll probably give some examples in regards to like relationships and stuff, but again, it could be really any circumstance that you find yourself wanting to go back into that people pleasing. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to say what I need. But it really just means that you are going to stand firm and grounded in your energy. You are going to stay put where you are. So let's take a relationship, for example. I find a lot of us who are this type of way, we will petition for someone to choose us. We will try to do the most. We will try to be available. We will try to say the right thing. We will try to work really hard to get somebody to love us. But what you need to understand about somebody who's unapologetic and that big sister energy is you don't need to petition to get somebody to like you or to love you. You do not need to let your energy seep out of your groundedness of who you are as a person and continue to leave yourself and go over here and explain to people why they need to like you. You don't need to work any harder to have somebody see you and love you. And you do not need to become this person who is going to make sure that they try to make no errors or no mistakes in life because you are afraid of that person's reaction. And this is something that I did a lot when I was younger, and I still struggle with this sometimes, of being somebody who tries to do everything perfect because I don't want to deal with the reaction of somebody else if they get upset or if they feel disappointed. Because actually the feeling that comes from having to face the fact that maybe I didn't show up perfectly, for me, it tracks in my nervous system as I'm in trouble. So when I was younger, my dad was really, really strict. So I would make sure to like always be the best kid ever and never make a mistake because I was so afraid of, that response of him. And I see how that still sometimes will play out in my life where I will be really anal about things, or I'm like super type A, and I'll catch myself and I'll be like, why am I trying to do everything so perfect right now? And really what's happening is I'm just not willing to be okay with the fact that, yeah, I might let somebody down if I am not perfect, or maybe somebody will not like me if I show up this way. Underneath that, I'm just feeling as if I will be in trouble almost if I don't show up a certain way, but that's just not reality, okay? You do not need to be that child anymore where you are constantly making sure that you don't elicit a reaction from somebody else. And again, obviously we have to be careful. Like, we're not trying to like move through life not caring about anyone else and, being reckless. We're not really those type of people to begin with, but you can't keep moving through life being so afraid of making people uncomfortable. If people can't deal with the fact that you are a human being and sometimes you're going to be late or sometimes you're not going to say the right thing, if they can't deal with that, most likely it is a them problem. And obviously, again, you want to have respect for people and you want to be able to communicate and all those things. But I think about when I was younger with my dad, he did not know how to just be sane and like be normal and like have a normal reaction to a child, maybe like being more emotional, or not even more emotional, but being emotional, or whatever the case was. He was so uncomfortable with his own emotions that he was not able to deal with who I was as a child, which made me hate myself more so that I could love him more. Okay. And what we're not going to do what we are not going to do in our adult lives, in our relationships, in the world, is hate ourselves so that we can make somebody else comfortable. We're not doing it. If somebody can't be comfortable with the fact that you have certain needs in a relationship, is that person really for you? And unfortunately, we were usually stuck with people like parents or caregivers or whatever, where we couldn't really have that decision of being like, okay, well, you're not for me, so screw you. But the gift that we can give ourselves in our adult lives is autonomy. We have a lot more autonomy. We can make better decisions for ourselves. Now, a huge lesson that I have learned in my 20s, and I've learned this in business, I've learned this with money, kind of like go hand in hand in career. I have also, of course, learned this in relationships, is that when somebody is presenting you with an offer, and this could be something as like a career position or money, but it could be in the form of somebody's needs in a relationship. So let's say a guy tells you, I'm not really ready for a relationship. You do not need to take on that offer just because somebody says, hey, this is what I can offer you. And I found when I was younger, I would absorb everyone's offers all the time. I would just take what I could get. I was taught that in my childhood of, okay, well, there's not a lot even to go around. So whatever is presented, you just take. And also you have no autonomy and you have no voice to even voice what you actually want. So you're just going to take whatever you can get. This is what it's handed to you. You don't ask, you don't argue, you just take it. But what you're going to do as this big sister energy moving through your life now is you are going to observe when somebody comes to you with an offer, and let's bring it to relationships. Oh, I'm not really ready for a relationship. Oh, I don't know if I want marriage. Oh, I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of want to see other people. Da, 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 da. If that offer is not aligned to what you want, and baby, you know what you want. You've been knowing what you want since a little child. And listen, I could write out an entire list of all the things that I ever wanted, in particular when I was younger, whether that was toys, experiences, certain friend groups, clothing, makeup, everything, material stuff, non-material things, everything, to a T that I couldn't get when I was younger. I knew exactly what I wanted, okay? And you know exactly what you want right now. So what we're not going to do in our adult lives is try and pretend like we don't know what it is that we want. So when somebody is offering something to you, you do not need to take that on. I'm so sorry that you believe that you had to take on everyone's shit, right? Everyone's half-assedness, everyone's bare minimum. But you're not going to get what you want in your life if you continue to let people, places, and things give you that half-ass energy. And when I find somebody's presenting something that is not really exactly what I want, and I find myself negotiating and, playing into it, and, well, maybe I don't really need this thing, and maybe I could be in a situationship, or maybe this, that, I like to come back to myself and come right back to my energy. And I'm going to ground myself right now and be like, you know what? I'm going to be in my big sister energy right now. And would a big sister let this offer in, okay? Would this big sister take anything that any Joe Blow on the side of the street just offers her. No. Are you kidding? Big sister energy says, that's cool. That's great for you. That's amazing. Oh, you don't want a relationship? That's so amazing. But that's not what I want. So I'm going to keep doing me, and I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to stand firm in what I want. And I'm going to remember what it is that I want, because sometimes what you do is you let people and their half-assedness seep into your energy field, and you forget what you actually want. Now, there's this little quote that's kind of going around like the self-development space where it's this let them theory. So, instead of trying to petition and explain your worth to people or try and get people to like you or absorbing everyone else's offers, you basically just stand your ground, you keep your energy with you, and you let them. You let people play it out the way that they want to, but you don't take it on as your own. So if somebody is not showing up for you the way you want in your life, let them. Why are you seeping your energy into their energy field, which is chaotic and you don't want it anyways? Why are you concerning yourself with men who are not treating you the way you want to be treated? Should you not be concerning yourself with the people who are actually going to treat you the way that you want? Why are you getting upset and concerning and stressing about people, places, and things and circumstances that are all shitty and not working out in your favor when you really could be taking that energy back towards yourself and putting it into what it is you actually want in your future? In this new chapter of your life of having big sister energy towards yourself really means standing your ground. And recently, I've actually been watching The Challenge on MTV. I love that show. It's this competitor show where they go and do a bunch of different challenges, physical, mental challenges, but they're also in this like big house. It's almost like a Big Brother type of house where you make alliances with people and you make connections and you have to eliminate people, and they're really strong competitors. It's a beautiful show. I love it. It's so interesting. But there was a situation with these two competitors, and they were on the same team, and they had to vote two people in to go into an elimination with two other people, but they could not come to an agreement. And there was a girl and a guy. So the girl's name was Avery and the guy's name was Tony. And Avery had so many perfect, reasonable reasons as to why she did not want to send in this one team and why she wanted to send in the other one. And Tony, he was kind of acting out of his ego. Like everyone in the house knew it, and he just wasn't standing down. Like he wanted to be the one that like made the decision. And she was like, I am not standing down on this. I am not doing this. Like it doesn't make any sense. You are basically acting out of your ego right now. And sometimes, unfortunately, especially in the challenge, it's kind of like the men usually like have their egos and they always want to make the decisions and they want to put the votes in and this, that. But Avery was like, I am not doing this. I will go down into the elimination pit if I have to, if we can't come to agreement. Because if they don't come to agreement, then they basically have to self-elect themselves and then they have to play. And the entire time she stood her ground because she knew what she wanted and what her standards were, and she was not budging on that. And she was willing to essentially walk away, not from the show, but willing to do what she needed to do and to deal with the discomfort of, in this situation, would have been going into the pit and having to potentially get eliminated, because she knew her worth and she was standing in her worth. And what ended up happening was they ended up going in because Tony didn't want to make a decision. Everyone thought that he was being so stupid about it, because it really was like so dumb why he was even standing his ground. It didn't even make any sense. They went in, and she had so much energy and power behind her, and she felt so good about herself. Like I even felt that energy for her. I was so proud of her. She won the elimination and Tony lost the elimination. And she showed herself that I can stand up for what I need and want, and I can win. And even if she did not win, she would have been going out knowing her worth, instead of playing a game where she said, oh, okay, you know what? Never mind about my needs and my wants. I'll just give it to somebody else and somebody else can take it. What that will do to you over time when you become that type of person is resentment, is less power, of course, right? Because you show people that they can walk all over you. If she were to just stand down, then Tony knows that he can, continue to make decisions over her, or like even showing other people that she doesn't really have any standards or any boundaries. Like she really positioned herself in that game as somebody to not be messed with. If she wants something, she's going to get it. And that earned her respect. That earned her exactly what it is that she actually wanted in that game. And that is how you have to be in life, in relationships, when it comes to career, business, things like that. Because if you do not, you will just keep getting stepped on. You will just keep getting walked all over on. You show people how to treat you. And I know it's not fair sometimes, right? Because it's like, you just want to be nice and a good person and like this, that. But the truth is, baby, the truth is, if you don't stand in your worth, if you are not going to be willing to walk away from somebody who says, hey, here's my half-ass offer, you are never going to get that full offer. But you have to be willing to deal with the uncomfortable feeling of what might come if you don't get it right away, which is sometimes why we just don't do it, right? Like this is why sometimes we accept the bare minimum, because we don't really want to deal with like not having any sort of attention from a guy, or, having any form of love in our lives, or a little bit of money. And of course, obviously, especially when it comes to business and money, you have to kind of like play your cards right, and you can't say no to absolutely everything. And you have to have a strategic plan to make sure that, you're benefiting from a negotiation, and so is somebody else, things like that. It's even with dating, not everything is a game. Not everyone is out to get you just because a guy is not like pursuing you consistently, being obsessed with you. He might just be a healthy person and he has his own life and he has a secure attachment and things like that. So you have to kind of know, when to play the game right in a way. I hate saying game, but I think you guys know what I mean. But at the end of the day, you really do have to say no to so much more in your life, and you have to get good at that. And once you do that, you will see it reflected in your life. And not only that, okay, not only you just saying no to things that do not serve you so that you basically get what you actually want in your life, you will become so much more at peace. Because honestly, are you really that happy when you are people pleasing and you are petitioning and begging somebody to see you and love you and sitting around being anxiously attached all day, and your energy just seeping out of your energy field and somebody else's, and you're focused on something else and you're stressing and you're spiraling? What kind of life is that? Don't you want to have a life where your energy is brought back to yourself and you're feeling really good about yourself and you're not getting fazed by people giving you half-ass offers? You do not need to concern yourself with people who are giving you half-ass offers. I promise you, you do not need to do that. It feels so much better in life when you can wake up and be like, you know what? There's so many different offers on this plate right now. And you know what? I'm going to choose. I'm not going to sit here and wait around. And I am definitely not going to be working extra hard for you to give me a better offer. That's not how it even works. I'm so sorry. That is actually not how it works. You show up first as somebody who knows their worth and knows what they want in their life, and you do not accept anything other than that. Okay, another thing that I think of when it comes to big sisters, and I actually have a few older sisters, but they're half sisters, so we didn't live together in the same house, and we were kind of like separated, and they all live in different areas now. So I didn't really get to experience having that like, big sister. And not every big sister is this way, and that's totally fine. But the ideal big sister that I would like to have, or wish I had, and now I am this for myself, is somebody who is clear and does not wait around. Okay. So let me read this quote, and this will kind of relate more to relationships, but again, this can be applied to a lot of things. And it is from Case Kenny. And the quote goes, "It's actually very attractive to ask for clarity instead of pretending you're cool with things being confusing." Okay? So when you are wanting to enter this unapologetic era, you need to be more attracted to clarity. When I think about a big sister that I needed when I was little, she was clear, she was direct, and she was either direct to me if I needed to hear it, which will be the next thing that we're going to talk about, but also to other people, right? When you are a young little child and you need your mom or you need your big sister to bring you to the doctors, your big sister is going to be damn near clear and straight with the person who's at the front desk being like, "Hey, I'm here for this. We're getting these tests done. This is what we need to do. I need to call the doctor. I need to go to this place. I need to figure out how much this is going to cost," whatever the case is. Very clear, very direct, very hello, I am here. Okay. We're not sitting around waiting and hoping somebody's going to, figure it out for us or this, that. You're being very direct and clear. And especially when it comes to relationships, I think that that's just something that we need to hear, is that it's actually very attractive. It is very attractive when you are clear instead of sitting around pretending like you are okay with things being unclear and confusing. So maybe this will just be a little PSA if you're currently in a relationship right now or a situationship, or you're in the dating phase and you're a little bit like, oh, I don't know, like you have something that you want to say or communicate or, kind of get it on the same page as, but you're waiting around for him to do it, or, you're just too afraid. Just be clear. I promise you're probably going to get a lot better results in your life when you are more clear with the people you are dating and even in business. And I also think about it like this. Okay, you know what? Maybe there is a chance that if you are clear or you are direct, that it might be too much for that person or they might reject you. Okay, why don't we fail fast then? Let's fail fast, right? Why are we going to waste now 5, 6, 7 months sitting around not being clear with what we want, when we could just be clear now? And if it's not a match, it's not a match. We move on. Okay, next thing. This is something that I definitely had to do quite young in my life, mainly because I had to take a lot of responsibility over my life very young. So I'm definitely really good at this, to the point where we have to be careful with not being too harsh on ourselves and not being too much of a tyrant. We want to give ourselves love and grace and compassion, and we don't need to be perfect, and we don't need to have the hardest days. But big sisters, they will call you out, okay, on your bullshit. So if you want to be more unapologetic and you want to have this energy towards yourself, you need to see how some of your actions do not align with your words, and you need to start making those two align, okay? If you want to yell and scream from the rooftops of your value, and I don't need to be dealing with this bullshit, and I should be having a guy who's showing up for me consistently and taking me on dates and doing the things that I want, or I should just be having this career, that, whatever, okay? Why is your actions not aligning with the value you say that you have? Why are you available all the time? Why are you waiting and wondering and hoping and sitting around? Why are you not taking care of your health? Why are you not taking care of your mental health? Why are you saying that you are this type of girl and putting this persona online or to your friends or to people, but you're not actually embodied in it? Go embody the person that you know you need to be. Let's stop talking about the things that we want to do or the person that we hope that we will be, and start taking that action, okay? And I did this a lot when I was younger, and I realized I would do a lot of social media consuming. I spent a lot of time on Tumblr, on Pinterest, on Instagram. I'd be watching so many people's lives all the time, but I would always say that I really wanted to start social media and do X, Y, and Z, or even if it was just like I wanted to go back to the gym and this, that, but I would spend so much time like watching fitness influencers, but not actually going to the gym, like all that kind of stuff. I got to a point where I had to kind of call myself out for this hypocrisy essentially and be like, listen, I am like feeling like I'm being that girl simply by consuming that kind of stuff, but I'm not actually taking that action, and I'm not actually applying the things that I say that I'm learning or listening to on podcasts. So let me stop talking about it. Let me just go and grind. Like, let me actually take the action. Now, this leads me into another thing that I did for myself that really made me feel like I was this big sister towards my inner child. And that was becoming the big sister that I really looked up to. And how I did that was removing toxicity and toxic shit from my life, because you really do kind of become the people that you spend the most time around. And I found it was really hard to even have higher standards for myself in relationships, or just to take care of myself, when I was spending a lot of time around people who didn't take care of themselves, or women, unfortunately, who didn't have a lot of standards for themselves, and you could tell based off of their actions. Like, I found that not only was my actions not aligning with my words, but I found that the people around me, like, they would say that they wanted dates and they wanted commitment and they wanted a certain amount of money and they wanted to be successful and they wanted to like live this healthy lifestyle. But then I would see what they were actually doing and the men that they were entertaining and the parties they were going to and the things that they were taking and the substances that they were doing and the unhealthy lifestyle that they were living. And I realized that even if I am taking care of myself, which you can only take care of yourself so much when you're being around those environments. You can do it, of course, but it's just like really hard to do that. But I just started to see how the more times I was around, let's say, for example, women who were constantly talking about how men were shit or they dated men who would cheat on them, that affected my belief system towards men. And I no longer move around people who have that shitty outlook on men. And if I like know people in my life, because obviously not every single person is the same. Like I definitely have friends who kind of like are still kind of like dabbling in those, you know, not because they want to, but they're in that realm still, no shade. I just kind of remove myself from them and I kind of like separate myself from being like, yeah, that's their dating life, but that's not mine. And it has gotten me such a long way. So really take inventory of the people that you are looking up to or not looking up to, the people you are spending time around, what their beliefs are, who they are dating, what their habits are, and ask yourself, like, is that somebody you really want to be? Or do you want to become a person that you actually want to look up to? And go and seek those people out, whether that is YouTubers and podcasters. Yes, I always find that that's probably kind of like the best way if you don't have anyone in your immediate life. But yeah, start to distance yourself from things that just do not serve you, because you're never gonna be the highest version of yourself when you're around people who just have that crappy energy or don't take care of themselves. Surround yourself with women or even men who are hardworking, who have their finances together, who are responsible, who have healthy relationships, who care about more things than just body image and how hot we look on the weekends, and people who aren't just wasting their lives away when it comes to partying or substances or just bad habits that do not serve them. And listen, I live a very balanced life. I am around a lot of different types of people in my life now, but I definitely needed to remove myself for a certain period of time in my 20s to kind of like figure out who I wanted to be and how I wanted to live my life. And it really did protect me, and it really helped me be able to have better beliefs about myself, but also about men and money and career and what I get to have in my life. And if I were to keep hanging out with the people that I was hanging out with, I would have had a different life. I would have had a different life because they were not expanders for me. They didn't have what I wanted. And this is not about putting people down. This is not even about forcing people or judging people for how they live their lives. It's just to see, you know what? That's just not for me, and that's not for my highest good. So what can I do to protect my inner child right now and steer her in the right direction? And that is aligning my actions with my words and becoming this highest version of myself that my inner child is going to look up to and be like, wow, I want to be like her when I grow up. And the more you learn to actively prioritize yourself, you are going to show the world how they need to show up for you, like I already said, and they will start to prioritize you. You do not need to do it the reverse, which is what you've been doing all your life, right? Okay, how do I change myself for you? How do I people please? How do I make sure that you're not upset? How do I have no needs? No. The big sister that you are going to be, the unapologetic version of you, prioritizes her own needs and her own wants, and people come to her. And when somebody is not meeting your needs, when somebody is giving you the bare minimum, when somebody is giving you a half-ass offer, because you've spent so much time taking care of yourself, prioritizing yourself, removing yourself from toxic people, places, and things, the more times you stand in your worth, when people come to you, you are going to be not attracted. You are going to be not interested. You are going to be like, actually, what I have over here is better. What I have over here, my peace of mind, my healthy habits, the way I look at myself, my self-concept, knowing that I'm going to get what I want, even if that doesn't mean I'm going to get it right now. This feels so much better than the young version of me that had to sit around and feel like shit about herself and constantly absorb everyone else's bullshit. The mindset you should really be having when it comes to life is, if somebody, for whatever reason, is not able to meet you where you're at, there shouldn't be this negotiation of, oh, okay, this person can't meet my needs. This person can't give me what I want. Okay, let me start to morph myself into more of what they need from me. No, that's not how you need to be in life. There are an abundant amount of resources in life, okay? People, places, things, money, success, everything, okay? There really shouldn't be a reason why you are squishing yourself and morphing yourself into somebody that you think you need to be for somebody else. It's just ridiculous if you actually think about it. If you look at it from this like macro level, let's definitely say when it comes to relationships, you're telling me that you are going to morph yourself into this small little ball of a human being that's not even you just because you want to get attention from this Brad guy over here, and you're going to really do everything that it takes in your power to see if he's going to take you on a date. And then when he doesn't take you on a date, you're going to be so distraught and you're going to be anxious all day and you're going to be waiting for a text and you're going to be just so sad all day. Why? Do you know how many other men would be willing and are able to show up for you if you just stood back in your ground? Listen, I know it's hard, and I know a lot of times we have attachments to things, but you need to understand that when you're doing that behavior of seeping your energy back into that other person, or you're waiting, or you're people pleasing, it's really that inner child, right? But what you're going to do in your adult life is you're going to say, we don't need to go there. We do not need to act out of that young wounded part anymore. That young part played a really big role when we were younger. She had to do what she needed to do to keep us safe. But guess what? We got options now. And even if we don't have that option right in front of our face, we know that it is coming. We do not need to wait around for a damn thing. And quite frankly, in your life, you are not going to get the things you want if you just keep saying, okay, I guess I'll take it. I guess I'll wait. I guess I'll just sit around being anxious and sad and second guessing my worth. And then that's how I'm going to get somebody to love me. Yeah, that's how I'm going to get my husband of my dreams, is getting upset when he's not acting like a husband. How does that even make any sense? Okay. You are getting so distraught about a man who is not showing up the way you want, when realistically you should have no concern at all about any of his behaviors if they do not align with what you want, which is husband material. Okay? So if somebody is treating you like shit, if somebody is ghosting you, why are you concerned with that behavior? That's not the behavior that we have decided that we are concerning ourselves with. We only concern ourselves with good behavior, with healthy behavior, with people who are sure of themselves and us. We are only concerned with people, places, and things who are healthy. Okay? So anything else doesn't even make any sense, which is why we're going to call each other out here and be like, why are you going out and doing this thing over here, babe, when you said that this is your worth, when you said you're this healthy girl, when you said that this is what you want in your life, but you're out here drinking, partying, not taking care of yourself, doing whatever it is that everyone else is doing, but then you're crying about the fact that you don't have what you want in your life. No. We can't do that. We have to do better for ourselves. So we are done trying to put ourselves in places so that people can see us. We don't need to do that. We are going to trust that who we are is good enough, that when we stand in our worth, we only get more, that even when we don't see any movement in our lives, relationship, money, career, friendship, whatever, it is coming, it is on the way, and we let it play out. And we let people and their offers be what they are, and that is it. Just information. We observe, we stay with ourselves, we remind ourselves of who the F we are, and we keep on pushing it, okay? So I hope this episode helped in any sort of way. I just don't think there's any other way to get what you want in your life if it's not just to be more unapologetic and stop just caring so much about people's half-ass offers, essentially. This is not about being rude and being a bad person, and you don't have to feel like you're a bad person because somebody gives you a half-ass offer and you say no. It's okay if you say no. It's okay. That person's going to be just fine. And quite frankly, if this person is not okay with the fact that you are going to say no to their half-ass offer, it's on them. Why are you taking it on as your own shit that you have to deal with now? Nope. I'm so sorry. If somebody can't deal with the fact that you are not going to be a perfect human being, or you're going to be late, or you're going to make a mistake sometimes, or you have a standard of, you need a man to show up like this, and they're going to get mad about that, why is that your problem? Okay, it's not your problem. Stop taking things on as your own. You've done that all your life. You don't need to do it anymore. And that's all I'm going to say, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.